What the fuck is the matter with me?
Turn you to a rapper that we used to love. Turn you to a rap. That's the new hook.
What up guys, it's your boy Ali and welcome to Hip Hop Forever. Now in the late 90s, Eminem was getting ready to take over the rap game. He released his debut album called Infinite in 1996. The album quickly flopped upon its release. However, this didn't stop Eminem from pursuing his dream to be a commercial rapper. Eminem followed Infinite up with another project called the Slim Shady Lp on December 16, 1997. The project is 10 tracks in length. Bizarre appeared on a track called No One's Illa with a few other members of D12, and this is the first time Eminem introduced the world to his Slim Shady persona.
The thing with D12 is basically everybody have an alter ego, completely different from who you are.
In 1997, Eminem participated in a battle rap competition called the Rap Olympics. The winner of the competition would receive a Rolex watch and $500. As we all know, Eminem didn't win the competition. He placed second, but that was enough to impress an Interscope Records employee that was in attendance. Eminem gave the employee a copy of the Slim Shady EP. It ended up in the hands of Jimmy Iovine, who played it for Dr. Dre, and soon after that, Eminem became an artist on Aftermath Entertainment.
And he said if he didn't win this battle, you know what I'm saying, he was thinking about retiring.
On February 23, 1999, Eminem released his debut album called the Slim Shady Lp. The album sold 283,000 copies in its first week and debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200. The Slim Shady Lp put Eminem on the map. He went from being the guy on the streets battling to being signed to one of the biggest artists in the game, that being Dr. Dre. Eminem put his team on after he released his debut album, and he formed Shady Records with Paul Rosenberg with the sole purpose of signing D12. Now soon after signing to Dr. Dre, Eminem reached out to Bizarre. At the time, Bizarre worked as a security guard, and as you can imagine, he hated his job. Eminem called Bizarre while he was on a lunch break. He told him to fly down to LA because he was about to change his life, and without hesitating, Bizarre quit his job after he hung up the phone. I was in Dallas, Texas, working on that shitty ass security job. I was on my lunch break, walking around the hospital, and he called me. That was, Mr. Johnson, you have a call back in the security office. And I was mad. Like, who's that mother who calls me at work? And he was like, what's up? It's Marshall. I'm in LA now. You gotta come up here. I'm seeing you tomorrow. So I hung up the phone, told them I quit my job, told my mom I was moving to LA. Now Bizarre had a good run with D12. He got to go on tour and make a lot of money doing what he loves to do. He also put out a lot of content. However, Bizarre's run on Shady Records ended abruptly, leaving his fans wondering what happened to Bizarre on Shady Records. Now D12 achieved a lot of success when they released their debut album called Devil's Night. Despite their debut album going platinum, Bizarre had trouble finding the same success as Eminem outside of the group. It appears as though most of the public was more concerned about Bizarre's connection to Marshall than his actual music. Bizarre had trouble establishing a brand outside of D12. He was constantly outshined by his peers, and his debut album is a reflection of this struggle. On June 28, 2004, Bizarre released his debut album called Handicap Circus. The album sold 21,000 copies in its first week. It reached number 48 on the Billboard 200, and it was released through his own record label called Redhead Records. Now it's very clear that the album didn't perform very well. In this day and age, selling 21,000 copies is acceptable, but in 2004, those numbers were extremely poor. The album performed so poorly that the lead single Rockstar wasn't followed up by another single. However, even though the album didn't achieve mainstream success, Bizarre fans still consider it to be one of his classics. Now before he released his debut album, Bizarre took part in D12's second studio album called D12 World. The album was released on April 27, 2004. At this point, Shady Records was more popular than ever before, and when the album dropped, it sold 544,000 copies in the first week. The album had production from some of the biggest producers in the game, from Dr. Dre, Kanye West, High Tech, and D12's own Mr. Porter, also known as con artist of D12. The album's two singles called My Band and How Come were extremely successful. It proved that D12 were capable of making more radio-friendly songs. However, as far as Bizarre's career is concerned, it seemed like he performed well under D12 and Shady Records, but a lot of people were not checking for his music outside of the group. Now, Proof's death did affect Bizarre and the other members of D12. On April 11, 2006, Proof lost his life. He was involved in an altercation with a man over a game of billiards in his hometown of Detroit on 8 Mile. During the dispute, Proof was shot 3 times and passed away before he could receive any medical attention. Proof's death hurt D12. When Proof died, D12 essentially lost its soul, because if you think about it, he was responsible for putting the group together.
No, it was actually Proof's idea to put six battle rappers together.
Proof believed that putting 6 battle rappers in a group would be a genius move, and he turned out to be right. So when Proof passed away, D12 wasn't ever the same. Now, as we all know, Eminem took Proof's death very personally. When Proof died, Eminem lost his best friend. Now, it's safe to say that Eminem took the loss extremely hard. So hard, in fact, that he distanced himself from the group. Now, despite his recent loss, Bizarre went back to the grind, and in 2007 he released his sophomore album called Blue Cheese and Coney Island. The album was released under Koch Records. It didn't perform very well. In fact, a lot of people don't even know that it exists. But the poor reception to his albums didn't stop Bizarre from releasing new music. Now, on May 21st, 2008, D12 released a mixtape called Return of the Dozen, Volume 1. The project was the first project from the group since 2004, and it was meant to reintroduce the group to the world, considering they weren't very active in hip-hop for a while. Now, an interesting thing to note is that Eminem didn't appear on any tracks on the album. At the time, he was working on Relapse, and it appears as though being a solo artist was his main focus at the time. Now, in 2010, Eminem spoke about his future involvement with D12, and this is what he said. "Right now, my music would probably be the same if Proof was still alive. I think this is what Proof always wanted, was for me to go crazy again. My life would be different because I would still have him. Me and the guys, we got a bond. It's special. It's like, as far as the future of D12, we're gonna be back in the studio soon." Now, it appears as though Eminem was ready to put out more music with D12. However, over time, the opposite happened, and his presence in the group started to decrease. However, this didn't stop Bizarre from putting out new music. Bizarre released his 3rd studio album called Friday Night at St. Andrews in 2010. In this album, Bizarre tried to talk about real-life experiences that he went through. This is probably his most personal album to date, so if you're a Bizarre fan and you want to get to know him, this one is worth checking out. Now, Bizarre continued to drop music over the years. His passion for music didn't slow down. However, over time, rumors of Bizarre leaving Shady Records started to surface. Now, on April 12, 2011, D12 released a follow-up to their mixtape called Return of the Dozen, Volume 2. Eminem appeared on one track. At the time, he was on tour for his recovery album and couldn't commit to putting out more music with the group. Now, in 2012, Bizarre left the group. He said his decision to leave wasn't personal. He left the group because he wanted to focus on his own collective called the Weirdo Movement. Bizarre signed a few artists that nobody really knows, but nevertheless, Bizarre believed in his artists and saw nothing but greatness in their future. Yeah, I'm not D12 no more. We just had creative differences and decided to go our own separate ways. Well, I decided to go my separate way. Now, a lot of people think that Eminem's signing of Slaughterhouse is the reason Bizarre left the group. Now, Slaughterhouse joined Shady Records in 2008. At the time, the group consisted of Royce da 5'9", King Crooked, Joel Ortiz, and Joe Budden. Ever since Slaughterhouse joined Shady Records, people feel like apart from his solo projects, Slaughterhouse became his main focus, and D12 was pushed to the sidelines. However, when questioned about this topic, Bizarre had nothing but good things to say about Slaughterhouse. "I don't think it had no real effect. Slaughterhouse is doing their thing. Shout out to them. Me and my man actually just did some production work on their album, and I can't wait to hear this album they're about to put out." Now, in early 2014, rumors of D12's return started to surface, and in January 2014, those rumors were confirmed by producer Mark Bass, who claimed to be working on the group's material. Bizarre later confirmed these rumors when he appeared on a radio interview in 2014. During the interview, he mentioned the fact that he just saw Eminem recently in the studio. He let the world know that D12 was still together and they will be releasing a new album in 2014. Now, it's safe to say that a D12 album did not come out. However, Bizarre, along with the rest of D12, appeared on a song called Bane off of the Shady XV compilation album. The album came out on November 24th, 2014. It debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200 with 138,000 copies sold in its first week. Now, D12 didn't release a third studio album, but on October 30th, 2015, D12 dropped the Devil's Night mixtape. Bizarre and the rest of D12 were joined by Royce the 5'9", King Gordy, and Lazarus. And as usual, Eminem's lack of involvement was felt because he only appeared on one track. Now it's 2020 and the third D12 album hasn't come out yet. Because it seems like Eminem's focus is on his solo material, Eminem officially announced the end of D12 on his 2017 studio album called Kamikaze. However, even though D12 isn't active as a group, it appears as though Eminem's loyalty to Bizarre is still the same. Now, over the years, rumors of Bizarre not speaking to Eminem started to surface, but according to Bizarre, he meets up with Eminem on a regular basis in Detroit. Now, I'm pretty sure that Eminem will make an appearance on Bizarre's future projects, or he might surprise us with a third D12 album, but as things stand right now, that project is as rare as Dr. Dre's Detox. As of today, Bizarre's YouTube page gets about 160,000 monthly listeners. He's very active on YouTube. His page has about 50k subscribers. And unlike most seasoned rappers, Bizarre is actively trying to stay relevant by uploading videos, by doing interviews, and by dropping new music. Bizarre dropped a full project called Rufus in 2019. He also appeared on a song called Leatherface featuring Hobson, and the track is actually pretty decent. And it's always great to see an artist that has been in the game for this long still doing what they love to do. That's it for me, man. It's your boy Ali. What happened to Bizarre in your opinion? Let me know in the comment section below. Peace.